So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited that I'm joined by another member of the Neighbours cast, the fantastic Hannah Monson. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to talk to you. And I mean, anytime I get to do one of these Neighbours interviews, people, whenever I sort of announce it, people go crazy. And I know that for yourself, people have absolutely loved you joining the show and taking on the role of Nicolette. But before we get too much into that, I just want to start off by saying a massive congratulations because Neighbours has been nominated for a daytime Emmy, which is the first time it's ever happened. How are you, has that sunk in yet?
I didn't even know that there was a daytime Emmys. I mean, it's very exciting.
I was going to say because for anyone who doesn't know, and here in the UK, the Emmys, the daytime Emmys aren't huge, but it's basically
Mm.
normally about sort of daytime soaps over in America. So for Neighbours to be nominated is quite interesting because I don't think a non-American soap has ever been nominated. So
That's
it's quite
cool, huh?
exciting.
Yeah. I hope
Now,
that that's a sign that yeah, people in the US are loving it. That'd be great.
I mean, I'm hope so as well. So fingers crossed for you guys, and we're hoping that this could be a win for Neighbours. Now,
Awesome. Thank you.
now, obviously, joining a soap like Neighbours must be quite daunting. So how did you come to be involved in the reboot of Neighbours, taking on the role of Nicolet? How did that all come about for you?
Well, I got an email for a Neighbours audition from my agent, and I was like, wasn't didn't Neighbours stop? And they're like, no, it's coming back. Um, so yeah, I just auditioned. I think there was like four auditions in the end. And yeah, now I'm here.
And were you a fan? Did you watch the show before it was axed, or were you quite new coming into it?
I grew up in an area of Australia that at the time didn't have the channel that Neighbours was on the TV. So it was like a Melbourne thing for me when I moved to Melbourne when I was probably around like 12 or 13, and that's when I would watch Neighbours. Um, So that was when I watched it mostly. And no, I hadn't watched it for a while when I started. So Takaya, actually, who played David, he gave me like his big collection of all the episodes that he was in. And most of the time, Nicolet's in those episodes. So I just did this huge binge of like, okay, what's been going on?
And did you find, obviously, taking on a role that had already been sort of played, and Charlotte Chimes, originally played the role. Were you when you know that you're taking on a character that has been on? Are you sort of trying to kind of use sort of aspects of Charlotte's role, or were you completely making it your own?
We called it same history, different actor. So I'm taking all the history of Nicolette's character and then doing my own process with it. I mean, I can't ever be Charlotte Chimes. I'm not Charlotte Chimes, so I just thought, okay, I'm gonna have to come at this from Hannah and figure it out that way. But also, like, that was like the producers and everyone at Neighbours, that was the decision that they made. They're like, and other shows maybe they would have been like try and keep it more similarities, but that wasn't any direction I was given. So that was kind of a relief. And in a way it's like easier, right? Because someone's played this character for ages. I mean, what I found interesting about as an actor working on Neighbours is usually you're given a script and it's beginning, middle, and end, and that's how you build a character. You know where they're going. Whereas Neighbours, it's week by week. You don't really, so it's this really interesting process of how do I create a character when I'm only given a week of scripts. So in a way I felt like I cheated because Charlotte had been playing the character for so long, so I actually got to build it based on that history.
And also, there's always that worry when an actor takes over a role from someone else that, it might not hit or something like that. But it really feels like the fans are truly loving your incarnation of Nicolette. You have hit the ground running. So that must be quite an honor to know that you've been able to bring this role back and people are just loving it.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm relying on people like you telling me that, because it's not like I can just like call Neighbours fans and be like, how's it going for you? Do you like me? So, I mean, it's a relief, obviously. I would hate to like do a recast of a character and everyone be like, boo, get off.
But also to return to the or to arrive on the show and come in such a dramatic fashion. I mean, obviously Nicolette, David, and Aaron all came back during flashback week. So to be a
Mm.
part of that, was that quite exciting?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't know any different. It was very like it was just nice to start the show involved in like the whole of the Neighbours cast. You know what I mean? Like everyone was it was good to have an entrance, I think. Yeah.
And would you say that having Matt and Dave and Takaya with you, who obviously play Aaron and David, having them sort of arrive at or return at the same time as your arrival, was that quite nice to kind of have people to kind of not necessarily support you, but just to be there to kind of join you on your adventure?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're amazing. Like they're so fun and so great. So like what a relief. It's like anyone at work wants to be like, I love the people I work with. And that's what I got. So
And to also recently, with the hard scenes that we've seen where, Takaya's character David dies, for you, because you must have really become invested in that character. And what was it like filming those emotional scenes afterwards where, you find out he's died and at the funeral? What's that like? Because as an actor, you must really have to be in a dark place for a while when you're doing those sorts of scenes.
yeah, I think like honestly, it's so sad watching everyone else be sad. That was what made me sad. You know, when they brought, when they bring David's body up to the holiday house, I was just looking at Tim and Matt and I was just like that concept of someone losing their twin and someone losing their husband, like just genuinely broke my heart. I think, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot having to be sad for such a sustained period of time while you're filming. Sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to be happy today.
But obviously, yeah. So, I mean, it's been a fantastic. I mean, you've been back now for probably just under a year, and how has it been? Because obviously, for you, this is your first time on the show, and how are you finding being a part of Neighbours and just embedding in the huge drama? Because it must be fantastic to be part of such an iconic show.
It is. I am loving it. Like, I love it every day. At first, I was like, whoa, this is enormous. It's not every day you work on a show where like in the building there's everyone. There's writers, there's art department, there's editing, there's like everything is there. So just like how big everything was took me a moment to like comprehend and find my energy in. And now it's just like it's genuinely so nice. Yeah.
And have you had an idea from sort of previous from other cast as to sort of how it used to be before the reboot? Because I've heard quite a few people have said it is massively different, obviously with Amazon now on board. So have you
Mhm.
been told sort of how it was previously and been able to compare it, or not really?
Yeah, yeah, I've heard some comparisons. I mean, I only know this. I'm like, well, it's great. So
And obviously, getting to work with the talented young actress who plays Isla, that must be quite fun. I mean, have you ever worked with children before? What's that been like?
oh my God, I love her. She's so iconic. And our name, like we're both called Hannah, which is so cute. She's like on fire every day. Like she's the Hannah show in the most like I'm just obsessed with her. She just has she and it's amazing because at first she's like, I don't know what this is. She's just this 4-year old that's like, what is this? Apparently you're my mum on TV. And now it's like she remembers cues, she remembers her lines. It's like watching her slowly figure out, like at David's funeral, she was looking around and she's like, everyone's sad. Okay. And then she had to walk up in the middle and she was doing these ones. Like this little like putting on a sad face. It's yeah, it's really cute. I think I've worked with kids before. I've got like a younger brother and sister like that are half my age, so I've got some kid experience.
You've also had a lot of scenes, which I'm loving at the moment, between yourself and Xavier, who obviously plays Byron. Are you loving that sibling rivalry between Nicolette and Byron at the moment?
Yeah, yeah. Like Xavier just offers something new every day. It's great. I think he's the youngest of a bunch of sisters, so he knows how to be the annoying brother as well. So it's like it's not hard to get that like cute, annoying rapport up with him.
And we're also seeing at the moment on screen, we've just literally seen where Nicolette invited Sadie over to kind of get to know the family, as it were. Are you liking that pairing of Byron and Sadie? Because I think they're going to be quite a good couple going forward.
I like them as a couple, and I like that I get to hang out with Emerald more. Yeah, no, I ship them.
Going forward, do you who would you like to see Nicolette with? You know, would you like to see a new character brought in for Nicolette? Because she's not, as I say, we've not seen any romance for her since Kiri, which was obviously kind of before your time. So would you like to see her with someone, or do you quite like the fact that she's sort of on her own, doing the parenting with sort of Matt as sort of co-parent, as it were?
I mean, bring on the romance. It'll be fun. Don't you think?
I think
New
it'd be.
characters, whatever. It's like that's the juicy stuff.
Have you got an idea of maybe someone you would love them to cast as a love interest for Nicolette?
Oh, wow. Like out of anyone in the world.
Yeah, if you could have any actor, who would you love to play?
Oh my God,
Um,
I'm like frozen from the choice. Okay. God, I don't know. I can't deal with like questions that big. Someone was like, "Who was your celebrity crush the other day?" And it was just like I couldn't remember any celebrity in the world. I feel like my crushes are always like so niche.
I mean,
Um, I don't know. I don't know.
no, that's all right. That's not a problem. Now there's obviously, the show has an amazing cast, but is there anyone that you haven't really had much chance to work with that you would love to do more scenes with going forward?
Yeah, the lesbian mums across the street. We should hang out more.
I mean, I was going to say they have been a fantastic addition to the show as well. I mean, I was talking the other day to Riley, and obviously, he's a huge part of that family, and I mean, for you being able to see, the LGBTQ plus community represented so well on Neighbours, how is that? What's that like? I mean, you must love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool. Like as a queer person playing a queer character, it's just like it's so fun, you know?
'Cause I
You
think
don't have to, yeah.
I was going to say, that there's still a lot of um, shows that don't do the representation very well, and I think there's still a stigma, which is shocking in this day and age. So, I mean, it must just be nice just to kind of come into a show that is just celebrates everyone and everything, which is what TV should do.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like a relief to see that, you know? And it just should be that way.
Now, also to join a show and to have your mum be played by the fantastic Annie Jones, that must
Mm.
be fantastic. What is she like to work with?
She's just like literally a ray of sunshine. It's insane. I met her for the first time and I was like, is that the nicest person that exists? And she's just funny. Like the little things that she says, like she's actually just, she cracks me up.
I remember I had the pleasure of interviewing her when she was over in the UK doing the tour, which was a huge
Mm.
success. And I remember she was telling us that she got very excited because she saw snow for the first time. She'd never seen snow before, which I was quite surprised by because you forget that maybe, in Australia you don't get much snow. So I mean, she's just a genuinely nice person, and I
Yeah.
mean, for you getting to work with her, but also to have her as your mum must be quite. Is it quite surreal to kind of have her as your on-screen mum?
Mm, not surreal. I just feel lucky. Yeah.
Now, obviously, the show has been going. It's next year will be 40 years. I mean, what would you love to see happen to sort of celebrate the 40-year mark. Is there kind of a dream storyline or something you would love to see happen on the show?
Mm. Um, I want a musical episode. Everyone keeps talking about it. You know, like on Buffy when there's that musical episode? I think
Yeah,
it would be hilarious. They
that
should
would
do it. Just
that
one
would be
episode.
that would be fantastic. I think. Do you
And
know
it's
what?
back up.
There's certain things that haven't happened on a soap opera before, and I don't think that's ever happened. But that would be
Exactly.
fantastic.
That's what's going to get us the Emmy.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Um, Now, if you were to ever come face to face with Nicolette in real life, do you think you would get on with her? Could you imagine being friends, or is she quite different to you? How would you get on with her?
I don't think I'd get along with Nicolette. That's not to say that I don't have deep love and empathy for her when I play her, because that's essential. But yeah, I think if we met, we would be like, hmm.
Because the interesting thing with Nicolette is she does have a habit of putting her foot in it at certain times and getting it
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, obviously, to come on to another woman's fella and try and trick him to drive him away, that probably wasn't her smartest move while she was away.
Yeah, smart. No, I think Nicolette is just deeply reactive when she feels threatened.
One of
I think I think it comes from, like, you know, a wound. And as an actor, I can figure that out and play it from a place of empathy. But like, yeah, that'd be annoying if that happened to you, wouldn't it?
I was gonna say it probably wouldn't be something that people would want to have happen to them. But
No.
But for you, I wanted to go back briefly, and for you, where did the love of acting come from? Because, you are great at what you do, but do you remember kind of where you first became interested in performing?
Yeah, I think I always liked it, but I guess in high school I started doing musicals and I was like, oh, I really enjoy this until we all start singing, which really contradicts my musical episode desire. But I was like, oh, I like the acting bits in between. And then I think I just began to see more theater shows and I was like, oh, I could do this. That's so, I don't know, I began to be really moved by what I watched. And I think that's when it began to feel like important as opposed to just entertaining. And that's where
So
it started.
I'm getting the impression you're not a big one for singing. Are you any good?
I can do it. I can do it. I don't think that I'm like the next Celine Dion, but I can hold a tune.
Because I know that Neighbours, is quite well known for having musical stars, obviously, coming from the show. Would you ever
Oh my
consider
God.
music?
Stop. Everyone stop telling me to be a pop star.
You never know, maybe one
I
day.
mean, I can't see that happening for me, to be honest, but it would be pretty funny. And I do laugh about it. I say to everyone, my favorite question to ask people is like, what's going to be your like spin-off business from the show?
That'd be quite interesting, yeah.
Pop star stuff. Actually, I asked Maddie if he would do a Christmas song with me, but Fletcher's already done that. So,
Oh yeah, he's done a couple of those, unfortunately. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is, of course, the relationship with Nicolette and Paul, because they've always had in the past quite a sort of a hate-hate relationship, whereas now we're kind of seeing them as allies. So, have you enjoyed those scenes with Stefan where, you're kind of, especially when he was not really liked by many people, was it quite nice to do those kind of quite intense, sort of scenes where you're sort of like relying on each other?
yes. Yeah, I love those. And I think they're really interesting. I think their relationship is really interesting, and a lot of people are interested by it because, you know, Nicolette does have this kind of bad side, and I think she feels kind of seen. I think a lot of energy for Nicolette is trying not to mess up. around her family and be the good person they want her to be. Whereas with Paul, she can kind of be a bit more evil, I guess. And I think she it's like she trusts him in a weird way because they're able to be candid about these darker parts of themselves and they can work things out in similar ways.
And also, it must be quite exciting to have, although you've not got to work with him yet, your sort of stepdad is played by Guy Pearce. Would you love for him to actually sort of be on the show as a regular? It probably won't happen, but would you love to see him sort of appear more on the show, actually in Ramsay Street?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. That'd be amazing.
Because have you ever met him in real life, or?
No, no, I haven't.
So that'd be quite cool to get him down because I mean, we're loving those scenes between, with Jane doing her sort of video phone calls with him, but it would be amazing to actually get him back on the street. Um, and
Right.
also, and also, we're getting a lot at the moment of these, storyline which I don't think's ever been done on the soap with these deep fakes, with, for example, the Jane video. So has that been quite interesting to be a part of that storyline, which I say I don't think has really been done before.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's been cool. Definitely. Um, Poor mum though, all the banana stuff.
It's quite scary to realize that that's actually doable because I mean I didn't really
So
know that that
true.
was a thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. There was something on the radio the other day about Dr. Carl was being his voice was being used on AI to try and sell these crazy supplements. I'm like, oof.
I mean that's the thing with Neighbours is it can do both the comedy but then also the serious drama and it must be great to be able to one minute you're doing a David's died and those really harrowing scenes and then the next minute you can be doing a quite light-hearted jokey storyline so it must be nice to have that mixture on the show.
It is nice. And there's some really good, like, you begin to see Nicolette's sense of humor and just her being like a bit of a kook more. And that's kind of coming up. And I've been really enjoying that. It's really fun.
I mean, obviously, we hope you stick around on the show for a long time because when it was announced you were joining the show, people were quite excited. So, fingers crossed. We don't want you to go anywhere. Is all I can say. If that's possible for me to
Aw.
say that. And I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I mean, I could continue talking to you for hours. Um, but just before we go, obviously, people need to keep watching the show. It's here in the UK, Monday to Friday. It's available on Amazon Freevee from 7 a.m. But just before we go, any messages you would like to give to any of the people, the patients that are listening in hospital at the moment? Anything you'd like to say to them?
I just really hope that this has given you, a nice little part of your day. It's really nice to be involved in all of your days in some way. And yeah,
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's been an absolute pleasure. You are welcome back anytime. Of course, keep safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.